Friends, what is up? My name is Wesley. This is the Money Monkey. We're back again. My sinuses are horrible. I'm so sorry. Back again with another reaction video. This time we're going to watch some of Dave Ramsey's top shorts. Before you do, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. If you have any suggestions, if you have a situation that you want me to weigh in on, shoot me an email. That link is in the description, or that email address is in the description. So without further ado, let's get into it.
If you use your credit cards, you do not want to be rich.
Well, anytime you say something about debt, people send it to me. Look
Right,
what Cubans say.
Tweets, yeah.
Look at what Cubans say.
And vice versa.
Yeah, so cut up your credit cards. If you use a credit card, you don't want to be rich.
Yep,
I like that line. That's a good line.
That's my favorite line. I tell people all the time. People then they ask me, well, where's the best place to invest? I said, your best place to invest is to pay off all your credit cards and burn them. Because your credit card, you know what your return is, right? If you get off, you're paying 15, 20% interest. If you pay that down, you just earn 15 or 20%.
Folks, I've told you 100 times, and Forbes 400 wealthiest people in North America, when surveyed, asked what's the way to build wealth, what's the number one way to build wealth. 75% of wealthy people, not your broke brother-in-law with an opinion, but wealthy people say, get out of debt and stay out of debt.
Yep. Because
it gives you power over your largest wealth-building tool, which is your income.
Okay, this is totally up Dave Ramsey's alley. If you've never watched him before, he is very anti-credit card, just completely. For the most, so I will preface this video by saying that Dave Ramsey's advice has probably helped a lot of people. It's really good. One size fits all. Do this and you're probably going to be okay type advice. But in actuality, what he's saying is true. And I've told people this before. I think I reacted to a video where somebody was asking about investing, and they were saying, oh, well, I have this debt and credit cards, and then I'm still trying to invest for yada, yada, yada. And it's like, that's really stupid, right? So your average return for something like an investment portfolio is going to be 10%. If it's just crushing it, the S&P 500 returns about that, not, adjusted for inflation. And your credit card debt nowadays, especially depending on where you're at credit score wise, can be upwards of 25%. So the return on that, paying off that debt, is 25%, and you're going to struggle to have that guaranteed anywhere as far as returns on investment. So that part is true. What I will caution you is that there are reasons to build credit. You have to have a credit history to eventually get a mortgage, to get a car loan, which he is also very against. And you have to have a credit history to do those things. And so credit cards are the way to do that. Caleb Hammer says that there are some people who are just not credit card people, right? So your credit limit should never be touched. It should never be approached on. It should never be, if you're going to do credit cards, you need to be paying them off diligently every month, or you're going to completely erase the benefit of having a credit card, which may be cash back, points, whatever. That interest, if it hits you a couple times, is going to erase years worth of spending and rewards. So it makes sense that that's his top short, because he's very, like I said, very anti-credit card.
Very few people who look like they have money actually do. The huge car, expensive car, the vastly expensive vacation on Instagram, the vastly expensive fill in the blank, are very seldom actual indicators of wealth. Very few people who look like they have money actually do.
This is a really good, I actually love this one. So the problem that we see a lot of times in modern culture is that the ways of judging wealth now are very outward, right? So you have nice clothes, nice shoes, nice car, nice house. And a lot of times that those indicators of wealth are acquired in ways that are not actually contributing to your, kind of underlying growth of wealth. And so, you may have your really nice, whatever the car it is that you want, but if you're spending $1,000 a month on it and you have zero money in savings, then that car is depreciating and you're actually really broke. Same thing goes for a house. Like, you can have the house you want, but if you're spending one half of your income on it per month, just to maintain it and pay the mortgage, you're really broke. And so what he's saying is essentially like a lot of times the people who are driving, the nice new trucks or the nice new cars tend to be pretty. This is not always the case. There are some people who have enough money to comfortably buy those things, but for the most part, by and large, the general population who own those things typically do not have the money to do those things and then also put back a substantial amount of money towards their investment, towards their retirement, towards real estate, or whatever your choice of investment is. And so they are essentially spending all of their money instead of letting it accrue interest, grow, and mature into a portfolio.
Could ring and your grandmother could say your rich uncle that you didn't know you had just died and left you $10 million, and your FICO score will not change 1 point. Your FICO score is not a sign you are winning with money. It's a sign you have played kissy face with the bank. It is an I love debt score.
Yeah, this is another one of those things where I think, in my opinion, just being a little bit too negative, he, again, hates debt. That's a good place to be, right? So you do not want to accrue debt. Like, all of your debt now, anything over 5% is what's considered bad debt, in air quotes. Most of the time that excludes pretty much anything but a mortgage or, in some cases, a very, very, very good car loan. And so Dave Ramsey is very big on avoiding debt like the plague. And what ends up happening, if he gets, like, essentially if you have that mindset from the get-go, then you avoid debt and that you avoid having that credit history that we talked about, which puts you in trouble whenever it comes time to try to get some of those loans that are not bad debt, like a mortgage, because you have no credit history, you have no proof that you've ever paid anything consistently. And it can hurt you. My roommate is a mortgage originator, and he runs into people all the time who are very, very avid followers of Dave Ramsey who adopt this type of mindset, and it ends up biting them because their credit score isn't as high as it should be, right? I don't think you're playing kissy face with the bank. I think you're just playing. You're essentially doing what you have to in today's economy and today's society to get the things that you want, right? So yes, you may be adamantly opposed to having debt, but that doesn't mean that you're, every single time you ever get a loan for anything, and it doesn't matter if it's a house that you can easily afford with 10% of your income, they will check your FICO score. That is the truth of the matter, right? You will always get a credit card or a credit score check.
3 things happen with home ownership that make you want to do it as a long-term play versus renting your whole life. Number 1, rents go up every year. More and more and more of your money is going to go out the door for housing. And if you buy a home and you lock down your payment, your rent doesn't go up anymore. Number 2, the value of the house goes up. And when you rent, obviously you don't own anything that's going up. Number 3, it's a great wealth building tool. It stabilizes the largest line item in your budget, which is housing.
Yeah, this is actually pretty true. So there's always a conversation about renting versus buying, right? That's going to be a conversation that every person who's literally any person is always going to have this conversation. The benefits of house or owning your house that he kind of touched on include building equity. It includes stabilizing if you get a fixed rate for 30 years. It includes, having, like he's saying, the stability of knowing, hey, my rent or my mortgage is this is what it's going to be. And then also just not chucking out a huge amount of money on rent that's going nowhere, right? So when you pay rent, you're helping to pay the mortgage on whoever owns that is property. So you're building their equity for them. The downsides that he doesn't talk about, for renting or for home ownership is the liability of taking care of that home. This can depend on, how new the house is, right? So if you buy a new construction, there's a very good chance that it's under warranty. So if anything goes wrong, you can call up, whoever built it and have whatever it is fixed. We've had some plumbing problems that have been fixed, no cost to us. It's been hundreds of dollars worth of plumber, fees, and it's been no cost to us. And then the other thing is that, even if it does, there are some things, it's kind of like maintaining a car, right? There are some things with the house that you expect to go out over time, right? So like you hear people talk about the HVAC unit, you hear people talk about the roof, you hear people talk about, different things. And if you're renting, that's not your liability, right? So you call up your landlord and be like, hey, my HVAC's out, and then they are pretty much obligated to come and have it fixed. At no cost to you. If you're a homeowner and the HVAC goes out, you have to stop what you're doing, get somebody to fix your HVAC, and then you have to foot the $5,000 bill to fix the HVAC. Most of the time, if you buy a newer house or if you buy a remodeled house or whatever, those are things that you kind of gauge where you're at as far as money wise, where the house is at, and you determine the risk of that happening before you can pay for it. In theory, you should have an emergency fund that would cover something like that, right? That's the whole point of an emergency fund. So if you have a $2,000 mortgage, which would be a pretty nice, very nice house. If you have a $2,000 mortgage and your HVAC goes out, the HVAC for something like that would be about $4,000, $4,500. And so your emergency fund on that budget, if a $2,000 mortgage, should be pushing $10,000, right? So you're not even depleting half of that for that cost of that unforeseen emergency. So I'm a big fan of home ownership. I think it's good. I think you get more for your buck, or you get more bang for your buck when you buy if you can afford it, if you can afford that liability and that risk.
You do not have an ethical or a moral obligation to give manipulators money just because they happen to be kin to you. Well, what about the Bible says to honor your parents? It does not say to honor their misbehavior. If your dad calls up and he's doing cocaine, he needs some money, you don't give him money. That's not what the Bible's talking about. It says we honor the position of fatherhood, not the misbehavior of the sole individual that is in the position.
Yeah, this is a pretty good point. I don't know what the context of this video is really, but this is touching on a bit of theology, which is not what the channel is about. But there's a big, in some circles or in some families, there's a big push or a big, I'm trying to think of the word. There's a big responsibility to honor your family members. There's a big responsibility to put them first a lot of times. And in actuality, I'm not going to say most of the time, a lot of the time, your family members may not have your same financial goals, and they may certainly not always honor you the way you're trying to honor them. It is not uncommon for family members to manipulate you for money, and that essentially is what he's saying, again, in terms of theology, is that you're approaching the point where your duty to honor them is being kind of challenged, right? So you don't have to give them money or take away from your own personal, like you don't want to put yourself at hardship or enable them to make bad decisions. That doesn't mean you're not honoring them. That just means that you're being judicious with your money and you're being judicious with what is best for that person. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Dave Ramsey is one of the biggest financial people on YouTube. Caleb Hammer has actually surpassed him now. I think Dave Ramsey isn't for everyone, but he's got some good advice. He's very old school, and his advice, very one size fits all. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave your comments about what we watched today. I know he's a pretty polarizing individual. I'm moderate whenever it comes to, I watch his videos every now and then. He's not my favorite, but it is, like I said, there are some good nuggets of information to take from there. Be sure to leave a like, be sure to comment, subscribe, like I said, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.